Everybody, Fantasy Endgame, we're here once again, as always, to mock draft, get you ready for 2023 NFL season of fantasy football. Now, you may be wondering, how do I get in on these mock drafts? Well, there's one way you could do it. You could sit there and wait for me to finish talking for the next 2 minutes and then furiously click on that mouse when the link drops. Or you can do like our guy Nate here. Already got his spot, got his pick because he is in the flock. That is flockfantasy.com/endgame. You can see us there. Number one, get access to the Discord where links to all our live streams like this will be, but also rankings, articles, videos, and stuff that you won't get just on the YouTube channel. So that answers that question. All right, Chris, what's the deal for today? We're going traditional, or are we getting spicy?
We're in the traditional. We got, you see up there in the top left, 1 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex, full PPR. So, and then so hold on, we have somebody saying that they're in the flock. So I want to make sure they get in. If they're in, I see some pizza talk we can ignore.
I mean, this is a no-win situation here. Pineapple, it's either you're for it or against it. There's no middle ground, right? Now, this might be true. It's getting to the point. We haven't even dropped the latest video yet, so you just wait. If you haven't heard enough about Izzy.
No, we had a technical difficulties with that video. Namely, my mic. Here's the irony about it. My mic worked all the way up until I started talking about Izzy, and then it cut out, and then it came back. So it only cut out during the Izzy part.
A sign. Maybe it's a sign. Divine intervention. But
maybe.
No favors here. You want to get in, got to be good. You got to join. All right. Yeah. Clayton's saying you haven't been in a mock yet? Oh, come on. Well, he's always in the Discord. I can't believe you haven't gotten in. Hopefully he gets in now.
All right. Well, I'm going to assume this is everybody. I don't know if Tobin will be able to figure it out in time.
Yeah. We'll hang on for just a few seconds. Now that we are live, maybe those who just got the notification, you're jumping on here, want to make sure you get ready. Okay. Yeah, he's saying he was on earlier. Technical difficulties once again. That's all right. But let me remind you that we do mock multiple times per week, almost always Tuesday, Wednesday, and mostly Thursdays. We'll do this, and it's about to get real because, we're really not that far away from the NFL draft, are we? Now we're hearing all the buzz and all the talk about all these guys who are suddenly moving way up and way down the draft board, right? Guys who were like top 10 and now all of a sudden they're not first rounders, like Will Levis and guys you haven't heard of before, first rounders. This is the fun part of the season.
Yes. Oh yeah. All right. Okay, so it looks like we're good. Tobin not going to be in. So here we go. We're ready to drop the link. Look, 9 spots available tonight. That's pretty good for you guys. And only YouTube says only 30 people on. So you got like a 33% chance by my math. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Good luck. Boom, 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 boom. 1 spot. Looks like, well, 1 spot. Okay, that's weird. You switch spots. And there it is. We're full.
All right. Good to go. So let's get it going. See if anything changes. Rise got the number 1 pick tonight. Welcome back. And then
you're at 4.
And Chris, tonight you're going to get sniped Miyagi-Do style because Mr. Miyagi is right in front of you.
Oh man, he's going to snatch your chopsticks.
Yeah, with the chopstick, exactly.
Chopsticks.
Like whoever you have in your queue, gets snatched away like that. All right, 1, 2, 3, just like that. You know what? I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna try it out. Let's see how it feels to have CMC knock on receiver.
Ooh, all
Even though
right.
even though the cheetah was there.
Over the cheetah, over your boy Tyreek.
Let's see it. Let's see how that feels. It might feel dirty after a couple rounds, but we'll see. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I mean, look at the 1-1. No, I'm not taking CMC or any running back this year. Not the 2. It's when you get to number 4. That's when I feel like having the guy who should be the number 1 running back, might be that huge advantage. Not top 3. Not top 3.
Stinger, you're on the clock. I don't know. Does Stinger know he's in the draft?
Yeah, I don't think Stinger knows. He's saying it was empty. And Stinger, you are number 5.
You're number 5. Let's go.
Refresh your browser, your app.
Oops. Yeah, refresh or whatever you got to do. You're in at number 5. Stinger, how can you say nope when it clearly shows you on the screen at number 5? All right, you ready? Have your pick lined up because you have like 2 seconds to make a pick. So be ready. Here we go. Let's go. All right, you auto JT. Well, now you're on auto.
Well, I mean, it's not the worst pick.
It's not the worst pick. Make sure you take yourself off auto, though, Stinger. Stinger.
There you go. There you go. He's in there. All right. It's all right, Stinger. You're with me. We're going anchor RB tonight, right? We'll just roll.
I would go. So going back to the CMC discussion, I have CMC at 5. I'm taking those first 4 wide receivers because I'm putting Hill over him. Your dogs don't agree with me, of course, but I got CMC at 5. I just think those other wide receivers. It's not like we can't go back to like, we could say before like, oh, CMC has the most upside of anybody in fantasy. I don't think that's the case anymore. He's still really, really good, but he doesn't. I don't think he has those, like 30+ point, every week ceilings like he did back in his prime. But he's still very good. I just think those wide receivers have just as high, if not a higher ceiling, and they're not running backs with a ton of wear and tear on their bodies. So,
yeah. All right, now you got 2. The good thing, the appeal there is he's in that San Francisco offense. But the bad thing is he's in the San Francisco offense.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's competing for touches every week with Debo, who I know isn't going to be in the backfield as much, but still, Debo does a lot of similar things. Ayuk has, really stepped up. Kittle, there's only so many touches to go around. And then do we really even know who's the quarterback for week 1? I mean, and if it's Trey Lance, is that good? We really don't know. So that's the only thing. There's definite risk there, risk with Taylor. So I know you feel better. I mean, it's almost like the floor ceiling thing. I hate to say floor with CMC, but still, it's like, do you want Hill where that what you're going to get those spike weeks, right? It has that huge ceiling. CMC is more of a, well, at least I know I'm going to get some bumps. Like you said, the ceiling isn't as high as it used to be. I could get the number 1 running back, but is number 1 running back really as important as like the number 3, 4 wide receiver who is a lot less risk? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly the injury thing. I mean, I don't know. I hate to feel like I'm playing it safe in round 1 because there is no safe round 1 pick. So like I'm just gonna go for the guy I think is gonna score the most points. You know what I mean? Cooper Kupp was safe last year until he wasn't. So but look, when it comes down to it, I'm gonna keep to what I said, which is for the most part, if I have the chance, I'll stick to wide receiver in round 1. unless the value is good. I don't know that 4 is like screaming value for CMC. I know some people think it is, obviously, and I'm just trying it out to see how I feel when it's all said and done. And yeah, did notice. Is this a new minimum on Garrett Wilson going 9 overall?
I mean, I have him over Adams for sure, and I didn't even want to draft. I mean, I was looking at Adams there, and I'm just like, I'm just really down on Adams this year. I mean, Jimmy G, maybe like now reports that they might trade for Mac Jones, like, and he's what, 32 years old this year. Like, I don't know. If I'm wrong on Devontae Adams, I'll take the L. It's fine. I don't know if I quite have Garrett Wilson over AJ Brown though.
Yeah, I don't think I can have him quite that high. It's close, but probably not. Let's see. This is where I have to decide which receiver do I like best. Like, I had a pretty clear idea until those last 2 picks. So,
yeah, it would have been nice if Kelsey made it to me at the turn there.
Yeah,
but once he was gone, I'm like, these wide receivers are fine, but I don't love them. So went for the upside running backs, and now I'll just have to hope wide receiver is not a wasteland when it comes back to me.
Yeah, got snatched up like chopsticks. Knew that would happen.
Yeah, he almost made it to me.
It's not like at this point, not like it's ready, like I wouldn't say it's like a dead zone or a wasteland. It's not like it's terrible options left. It's like there's not one guy that really stands out over the other. I'm not really sure what the pecking order is. Like, I could have taken Devontae Smith. I had DK Metcalf queued up. Yeah. I had Olave. I still have another receiver who I don't even know if I want on the way back. So that's the thing. It's just hard to differentiate from some of these guys right now. Of course, that might change after the draft.
I agree, and that's why I went running back there, because I look at it like, if Eckler stays with the Chargers, we know he's got obviously tremendous upside. And Bijan, wherever he goes, has tremendous upside. Like, to me, those guys are elite potential top 5, top 3 at their position. The wide receivers that are on the board, it's like, yeah, they're, like you said, like, okay, yeah, they're good, but they're not top. Probably not going to be finished top 3 at their position. It could happen, but more than likely they're probably not. So I just went running back, and we'll see how it works now. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, that's the thing. It feels odd. Like saying Chris Olave is my wide receiver 1. That doesn't make it sound great, It's like his upside there, but I don't know that that's a great thing. So maybe going Hill and then could have got Josh Jacobs on the way back. That might be, maybe that's a more solid build. And I don't feel obligated to go wide receiver here, but I think the running backs on the way back will still be okay. So now, actually, you know what? I'm going to change my mind last second. Still feels early. Like, I feel like I'm drafting both these receivers a little earlier than I needed to, but I'll talk about these guys I want to talk about after they're drafted. Let's wait and see. All right. Thank you, Stinger. All right. So Debo was my consideration, but we talk about having 2 guys who on the same team who do similar things, Debo and CMC. Like, is that a stack that you would like, or would that worry you? Would that just make you scared?
To have no, I don't mind having CMC and Debo, but I am a little like I'm not super high on Debo this year, and I talk about him in a video. It's more dynasty related, but some of the stats I came across on Debo were very alarming as far as his usage in the offense. And I think a big part of that was Brandon Ayuk not being in the doghouse and actually becoming a very, very good wide receiver. George Kittle being relatively healthy, and the addition of Christian McCaffrey. So,
Right.
like, I don't think we're going to see anything close to 2021 Debo ever again. At least not unless things around him change. So, I did not like what I saw in the usage stats from Debo last year. Does not make me feel good about him going forward. So, I between the two, I would go Cooper, honestly.
Yeah, and that's why I went Cooper, partly because I already had CMC, but also that. And I think, Clayton, you nailed it. It's all about the value. You can get Ayuk a couple rounds later. And that's why also I kind of not going to do this year what I did a lot last year is draft Kittle, because I think he's not a great value. He goes a little too early compared to the advantage he does or doesn't give you a tight end. So, what is up? Marquise is in the house. Marquise, you in here? Oh, he said he's waiting for the draft. That's right. That's what it was. He's going to wait till the draft settles, and then he's going to get in. All right. Okay, so how do you follow up your double RB?
Yeah. Man, did I do that? Think
it's a good go-to.
Oh, this is gonna get crazy. But I feel like Jalen Hurts in the 4th round. Can't say no to that. Can't say no. Oh man, this draft's gonna get crazy.
Well, being at the end, by the time it gets back to you, top 5, maybe 6 quarterbacks probably be gone. So
yeah,
I think that's a smart move. Yeah, and all these receivers now, I don't think there's a huge difference. There's a couple of guys I like, but nobody that really stands out. And the one guy I was going to talk about too, we don't even know at all how to value this point is DeAndre Hopkins today. And if you saw this, now they're saying that they're just going to release him and that there is going to be a trade. The trade market's not very hot for him. So they're just going to cut him to save the cap money. And then we're going to see who just wants him the most. And maybe it's the Chiefs, maybe it's the Bills. Who knows?
I talked about this last night when I went live. I don't see him releasing him. Like, yeah, they'll save $7 million, but they'll still owe $22 million of dead cap. So, I mean, that's I guess it's better than $30 million or whatever it is, but it's still like it's not like they're gonna get like huge cap relief. I still think they trade him or keep him. I don't see how you release DeAndre Hopkins. Like, that just seems crazy to me.
Yeah, well, I think someone's going to have to really want to trade for him based on that contract. That's the thing. I don't know. I'm not a capologist at all, but I know they were saying it's like a post June 1 designation. Like if they release him now, it wouldn't help as much. But I think if they release him later, then that would be different. But we'll have an idea, of course, if nothing happens before the draft, which it doesn't sound like it will. What if they go after a receiver earlier? That might tell us something.
Yeah. If they release him post June 1st, that $22 million dead cap gets spread out over the next 2 years. So it's like 11.5 this year and 11.5 next year, which I guess is a little easier to stomach, but still, it's like you're gonna get, for a player of DeAndre Hopkins' caliber, you're gonna get nothing for him. Like, you're telling me that, like, okay, maybe you're not getting what you want for him, but you're telling me you can't get like something for him. Like, you release him, you get nothing for him, and if you trade him for a pick, you get the cap space, right? You get that cap space. So I don't get the releasing thing. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, well, the thing that might make sense is, what if they don't want to get anything out of DeAndre Hopkins? What if they want to get a really good draft pick next year? What if they want to rebuild, like just blow it up? Because they know they're not going to have Kyler this year, at least most of the year, if at all. They got a new coach, new maybe everything, right? They could just say like, what's DeAndre Hopkins going to do for us this year if we're not going to be a playoff team anyways?
Man, I mean, you never know. It's the NFL, but that'd be crazy to me if they just outright cut him.
Yeah. All right, so under too much questioning here. Hurts over Mahomes. That's going to be the new norm, I think. Not in every draft, but for the most part.
I mean, Hurts over Mahomes for me for sure. Like he can break fantasy football. He was breaking fantasy football last year before his injury. And look, Mahomes is great, no doubt about it. But you know.
Just when you start staring at a guy in your queue, that's what happens.
Yeah, I'll probably end up feeling good about that Hurts pick because I'll probably, by the time it gets back to me, there won't be any good QBs. I'm just gonna have to just gonna have to see what wide receivers are there.
All right. I'll get my guy, plan B to Justin Fields. I've kind of been flip-flopping, honestly. Sometimes I'll take Herbert, sometimes I'll take Fields. Like, I'm okay with either one.
Yeah, I got Fields ahead of him. Again, that rushing upside. It's
Stinger going full Jags fan. All right. Fields over T-Law, yeah. Here's the funny thing, too. Earlier, I put up this comment about someone saying Eckler's not even going to be a top 5 running back by the time draft season is here. Sean's saying falling to 12 is insane. I mean, I think in most drafts, he's a first-round pick still.
Yeah, I think in most drafts, assuming, again, he stays with the Chargers, yeah, I think he's going to be the number 2 running back off the board in pretty much every draft.
Agree. The number 2 back. Yeah, well, we see JT go almost always over him, but you think Eckler gets higher ADP than Taylor?
If he stays with the Chargers and they don't do anything like major at running back in the draft, like if they don't, draft Charbonnet or somebody like that to kind of like take the load off of Eckler, yeah, I think he stays ahead of JT. Now, if they do something like that, they draft a guy like that, and kind of send the signal like, hey, we may be lessening Eckler's workload. Then I could see it. But as of right now, or if he gets traded, of course, if he gets traded, and it's not as good a situation.
Yeah. There goes Ayuk. Talking about him a lot. It's interesting noticing at rookie receiver. Now it's like almost a firm thing that JSN is the first rookie receiver off the board. I don't think it was really like that when we first started these mocks.
No, I think people got a little carried away. Like, and I did talk about this in the video that we'll have to re-record. But like, people get a little carried away. Like, well, he only played slot in college, right? Like, oh. That's early for Mooney. I definitely didn't get sniped there.
And it wasn't Stinger.
Oh, man. These wide receivers.
All right. Now, you're forced to take a wide receiver, although you're not really.
I mean, I almost am, and they're really bad.
I mean, Tampa Bay receivers are out there. Denver receivers. Gabe Davis.
Oh man.
League winner, Jameson Williams. All right. Throwing us all off guard.
I'm just
Refusing
taking
to
the
draft wide
value.
receivers.
I'm just taking the value that's there right now.
Me, the new Chris, who refuses to draft wide receivers now.
I'm just taking the value that's there, and there aren't any a wide receiver. They're gone. All these wide receivers they're the same. They're like,
one of your boys still around. Make it happen.
Man. Pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. Pretty brutal.
Right. Take a shot on a rookie. Why not?
Anyways, what I was saying was, and I talked about this on the video, and I'll throw this up there. You hear, I hear this so much from people, like, "Oh, he only played slot in college." I'm like, "That's cool." Then why do you love Amon-Ra St. Brown so much? Like, why do you bow down and kiss Amon-Ra St. Brown's feet? Because all he does is run routes out of the slot. That's all he does. That's it. That's all he does. And you love him. But then there's this great college prospect who only ran out of the slot in college. It's like, oh, that's not good. Like, come on. It's fine. JSN is a clear number one. Clear number one.
Yeah. That's a little overblown. And, there's so many receivers who try to pigeonhole them all. Like, oh, this guy's a slot receiver. He's he's an outside guy. He's this. Receivers move around. Like, there's some who will only play slot because they're too small to play on the outside. But so many receivers, they move around the field. They don't just do one thing. They go based on where the formation is. We had this debate with CeeDee Lamb. I'm like, what is he? Like, he's a wide receiver. They'll put him sometimes inside, sometimes outside. They'll move him around. It doesn't matter where he lines up. It matters that he gets targeted, and he does.
And it doesn't even matter if, the guy only plays in the slot. Tyler Lockett only plays in the slot. Like I said, Amon-Ra St. Brown only plays in the slot. Cooper Kupp, almost every snap in the slot. Jalen Waddle, almost every snap in the slot. And no one cares. No one cares about those guys. No one's like, well, the slot guy. Oh, the slot guy. It's like, who cares? Not only that, the slot guy, a lot of times, even Chris Godwin, almost always in the slot. Almost always in the slot. The slot guys, a lot of times, get this softer matchups because most defenses, their slot corner, their nickel corner is not their strongest corner. Their strongest corners are usually their perimeter guys. So I don't understand. I don't understand this argument at all. Who cares? Who cares? If he's good and he'll be on the field, he'll get targets and he'll score fantasy points.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's sometimes not as complicated as people try to make it out to be.
Yeah, in JSN, he's not a little guy who has to be in the slot. He's big enough that he could play anywhere.
Oh yeah, and he's fast enough where he can win on the outside for sure. He's not going to be limited to short routes and things like that. So, not worried.
So Royland asking, do slot guys get way more targets? Not necessarily.
Depends on the offense.
Depends on the offense and how good the slot guy is. I mean, Isaiah McKenzie's a slot guy. Who are some other slot guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, almost 100% from the slot, does not get a ton of targets. It's more about how good is the player. If you're really good and you're open, you'll get targets.
I think it also depends. There's a lot on the quarterback where he likes to throw it, where he feels comfortable. Some, like Josh Allen doesn't want to just dump down to the slot guy that much. He wants to throw it deeper. He wants to find his guy. He'll lock in on Diggs whenever possible. Right? He has, that eye there first. Where does that quarterback look first? Does he look to get rid of it quickly? Does he look for his specific favorite receiver? You know what I mean? So it depends on factors like that. I'm kind of torn here. I feel like there's a good value. I wanted to draft a receiver, but I feel like there's a good value at two other positions.
There's definitely not a lot of value at wide receiver.
Exactly. Which is why I'm probably going to wait now. Yeah, why not? I'll just.
I mean, I usually don't draft one of these tight ends here, but yeah, I was just looking at that board and like, oh, man.
Yeah, well, like he's not like a streaming value. I think the other day I got him in like round 9, but I
Mark
don't think he was.
Andrews?
No, me. I got Goddard because I took Goddard.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was that one draft where he was like buried in the ADP and you got him in like round 12 or something, but that's only because he was like buried in ADP.
Right. But I'm okay taking him there just because the wide receivers are like,
Oh, wide receivers are gone. What are we at? Like wide receiver 40 already or something? How many wide receivers have been drafted? I mean, look, there's always if the guy's on the field, there's always a chance. There's always a chance. But yeah, I was never on Renfro to begin with. So.
Correct. He benefited a lot from the fact that they didn't have any other good receivers like Devontae Adams, and that's not the case anymore. I mean, the fact that Waller is now gone and Moreau is now just not playing football, don't know what they're going to be doing at tight end. Think they might draft one, we'll see, but that could help Renfro's case a little bit, but he's not going to get a ton of targets just because they have Devontae Adams.
Also, didn't they add Jacoby Myers?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Jacoby. I keep thinking with Jacoby Myers, who, by the way, has he been taken yet?
I don't think so. That would be pretty early for Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I guess he hasn't because we mentioned him a while back. Yeah, I forgot about Jacoby because they were talking so much about the Texans maybe getting him. So I keep thinking he's a Texan, but he's not. He's a Raider. So yeah. Even worse for Renfro. Do you want to take a stab at this? Pros and cons of playing half PPR versus PPR, because you're not a huge fan of half PPR. I know we don't want to get into this like whole prolonged debate. Well, okay, go ahead and make your picks first, because actually now.
Well, Mr. Miyagi just sniped me for the second time.
That's what he does.
Mr. Miyagi
knows your pick before you know
it. Who's even okay? Well, now I have to look because I'm like, okay, I'm definitely gonna get him. Mm-hmm. I can't have too many. Tony. Yeah, my wide receivers are going to be ugly.
And then noticing before Dotson was taken, Mixon at the 7-10. That's the other guy I was debating, but I'm kind of out on Mixon, and there's only so far you can let him fall. But I kind of would prefer to get a good tight end on my team than a running back I'm not sold on. So I'll let somebody else get that value, I guess.
Oh, man.
Who will be the wide receiver for? Or you could go running back again. All right, another rookie.
I think at this point it's like just gamble on guys and hope.
Okay, so back to this. PPR versus half PPR, it's not like it's a huge difference, right? There's some points get taken away from a guy who's going to be, collecting a lot of receptions. It does diminish those pass catching running backs a decent amount. It's not as huge jump from like half PPR to standard, or of course full PPR standard. So to me, honestly, I think half PPR is reasonable, but PPR is just kind of the standard format.
I just think for me, like I certainly prefer half PPR over standard, that's for sure. But for me, half PPR is like dipping your toes in the water, I guess. It's like, well, I don't want to play standard because that's horrible. And I don't want to play PPR because that just rewards guys for catching a pass too much. So we'll just meet in the middle and do half PPR. But to me, it makes it a little bit harder to project guys, I guess, and value guys. It's much easier to kind of think like, okay, like this guy should catch around this many passes or whatever and get this many yards and this many things. But like you said, half PPR hurts the pass catching backs a bit. It hurts the guys like want to score a lot of touchdowns quite a bit. Well, one thing I like about PPR is like last year, you can have somebody like Amon-Ra St. Brown who didn't score a lot of touchdowns, or even Justin Jefferson who only had 7 touchdowns or whatever he had, can still be great. Whereas like in half and especially in standard, I mean, I'm sure Jefferson was still great. Well, he was probably okay in standard. I don't know how good he was in standard, but I don't know. I feel like PPR, honestly, if you look at like at the end of the season, I think PPR actually is the most fair format. Like it really is. It really like there's not like you don't say like, oh, running backs have a massive advantage or like wide receivers have a massive advantage or whatever it is. I really do think it's the fairest scoring out there, honestly.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, he's getting a point for a catch. Yeah, okay. He gets a point for a yard too. He gets a point for a 1-yard touchdown. He gets 6 points. You know what I mean? It's like you can argue back and forth about merit. It's a system, and like you said, what makes the most sense for scoring and keeping track? Yeah, it is easier to say, hey, there's a reception, there's a point, instead of having to cut things in half and like evaluate. So it doesn't really make a difference. It's just a preference thing. Now, if you want to get all, as far as merit based and what's fair and what makes sense, like point per first down to me makes sense because even if it's a 1 yard, that tough 1 yard gain, that's a huge play for the offense. That's more, well earned. It's more, deserving of a bonus of some sort than just a catch. But that's also harder to track. So.
Yeah, and everything I've seen on that, and I'll be honest, I haven't like dug into it too deep, but everything I've seen on that, almost it seems like running backs get the majority of the first downs. And so now you're kind of back to where running backs kind of dominate the league again. Remember, this is why PPR was originally created, is because back in the day, like if you've ever played in a standard format, how devalued wide receivers are. Because you could have a guy like Justin Jefferson last year, he could have had like 8 catches, 110 yards, no touchdowns, and you got 11 standard points. Whereas you could have a running back who goes for 50 yards and scores a touchdown. He also got 11 points, and he didn't really do anything. He got 50 yards, and he like fell in like Jamal Williams. He could go for like, 50 yards, fall into the end zone, and he gets 11 points. And so now he's just as good as Justin Jefferson, even though he really did nothing in that game, right? He had like averaged 3 yards a carry and fell into the end zone and got the same amount of points. Or you could even have a running back get, 20 yards and 2 touchdowns and outscore Justin Jefferson. So that's really why PPR came about. But I think the most important thing is whatever you like to do, that's what you should play. Every league should be different. But I don't know about the point for first down thing. My other thing is like whenever I hear people talk about this stuff, the other thing I say is like, well, it's fantasy football. Why should it really? Like why? Like we're not playing real football, so why should we care if a guy caught a 1 pass for 0 yards and got a fantasy point? Like, oh, he didn't help his team. Okay, when do we ever we don't care if they help their team? That's not part of fantasy football. Why do we? You know what I mean? Like, right. We should be like, oh, he did something good for his team. Let's reward him. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not scoring real life contributions. We're scoring stats. Right. So it's just stats. Exactly. All we're counting stats.
Exactly. Because if we're going to start going down that road, then you should let's start playing with offensive linemen and give running back points for picking up the blitz. Give wide receiver points for blocking downfield that got the running back the hole to go. I mean, then we start getting to this whole thing. So it's like, I don't know. I think PPR, in my opinion, is a pretty perfect format. I think that's why it's the most popular one, and I think that's why yeah, I just think it's a really good format, to be honest. I don't think it really devalues anything other than tight end and quarterback, but that's more of like probably, well, tight end just sucks, and quarterback, maybe the scoring needs to be modified.
Yeah. Now there actually is a league, and we learned about this last year. We met these guys who started up this site at the expo in Canton, Ohio, called All 22. And so you actually have a team. You have a full roster. I think you have, because I played it last year, 53 full man roster, and you start a full team on both offense, defense, including offensive linemen, defensive linemen. You have a kicker and you have a punter, everything. And so the scoring is basically their PFF grade. So they're connected to PFF. So yeah, you technically get points for like blocking and picking up the blitz and running good routes, like even if you didn't put up numbers. So it's kind of cool if you're super, super into that, just football in general, and not just the stat part of it. It's actually kind of interesting. It's harder, obviously. But I kind of dug it. Like I was into it. I came up short. I was in the championship game. I wound up being runner up, so that's all right. But maybe next year.
I got how many? I have one, two, three, four, five rookies on my team. 5 rookies on my team right now. Oh,
I was gonna say not just receivers. So you got 2 of your 3 running backs are rookies.
Yeah.
So dynasty. You didn't tell us this was a dynasty startup.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention dynasty draft. I was wondering, I'm like, how am I getting all this value? How am I getting all these young guys?
All right. Yeah, we're not going down this road. That's like Pandora's box that you cannot close. No, I'd rather go back to the pineapple on pizza thing. All right, let's get to what's going on here. Raheem Mostert in the 10th is
spicy.
Earlier.
That is Raheem Mostert in the 10th.
Generous, but look, in AL we trust. Always drafts a good team. We'll see how that turns out. There goes Gabe. Man, I waited too long to start getting my other receivers.
Yeah, I just realized, I mean, you went a long time without taking your 4th wide receiver.
Yeah. You're like, there's nobody there. And then you wait, and then like, okay, now there's really nobody there.
Yeah. Well, why do you think I keep taking the rookies?
I got rookies. Yeah, you keep snatching the rookies up. That's the problem. There gotta be somebody. Gonna have to take somebody.
So I've heard about leagues like this. So Stinger's saying I have a league where instead of drafting one QB, you take the whole team's QB room in case one gets injured. You have the backup. I don't even like. I'd rather just pick somebody up off the waiver wire. Like if I have, like, let's say I have, Justin Fields, and he gets hurt. Like I don't want to start Nathan Peterman. I don't want to start whoever they bring in as a bad. I'd rather go to the waiver wire and pick up somebody else. Like why do I have to start the backup? That's terrible.
Yeah, when we did this, if you remember a couple years ago, the AAF, and we did fantasy for AAF. Yeah. That's right. Before the XFL, there was the AAF. And that's where it's like team quarterback, because you don't know who the quarterback is. And half the time they're rotating guys, like one guy starts and the other half. So you have to do team quarterback. Yeah. Now in the NFL, it should be a player, right? It shouldn't really be a team thing anyways. Because that would be almost unfair. You're like, I want 49ers running back. Like that's
yeah. In the AAF, you had to, because it would be like guys would get benched. It was crazy. The AAF was crazy.
And which reminds me, this weekend, finally, finally, I'm going to go to an XFL game. I'm going to see the San Antonio Brahmas in person. They're not very good, but that's okay. I still got to support the sort of home team. I'll let you know how hopping it is. Not very, is what I've heard.
Probably not. I
It
remember
was at
those AAF leagues. Like Trent Richardson was like awesome in that league because he would run for like 13 yards, but he'd score like 3 touchdowns.
Yes, he did.
Have like
he was the Jamal Williams of the
it's like he would do nothing, but he would get 3 touchdowns, and it was like you're running like if somebody got you 10 yards, like what was the leading rushing? Did anybody even rush for 100 yards in any of those games? Like
I don't think ever. No,
it was terrible. It was terrible.
It's a passing league. Hey, one thing I did sort of hear, Josh Gordon apparently is a stud in the XFL now. So everyone's like, yeah, he should come back. He should play in the NFL again. Like, I don't think talent was ever the problem. Pretty sure that's not what it was.
I hope he does come back in the NFL so people grab him in all my dynasty leagues. Maybe they'll drop somebody good, pick him up.
There you go. I mean, he technically was in the NFL last year. He just didn't see the field, right? He was with the Chiefs.
That's true. Forgot about that.
So, anyways. All right, so I think I just got reverse sniped on Nico Collins because I thought about taking him last round, then I thought about taking him this round, and I didn't. So maybe I should have. I'm going to wind up making a desperation last couple of picks here at receiver.
Yeah. I don't know about Boutte. I'm pretty off him.
Okay, so no, sadly, I actually am paying the money. That's yeah. Yeah. That's a good question. Look, not a lot of people happy with Hines Ward as the coach. Apparently, that's the problem. His offensive coordinator doesn't know what he's doing. So, yeah. Okay, well, it was something. Where was it? I saw Young Money put up an interesting comment, but I can't find it now. Oh, okay, here it is. What was your reaction to this?
I would argue that's Jalen Hyatt, but
I think you did argue that recently, as you guys might find out.
That one might actually come out tomorrow. That one's actually going to come out tomorrow.
There you go. All right. But Quentin Johnson, obviously, you're sold because you took him as your number 2 receiver.
I'll get back to it here. Let me make these picks real quick here, because I think I know where I'm going, unless they've been taken already, which I doubt. But let's see.
Yeah, with Nico,
he's already been taken.
Pretty sure they won't take a receiver with the number 2 pick. Maybe you could be worried if Mechie comes back and he makes an impact. And what if they take a receiver later? Because a lot of people are thinking they will. So he could kind of get squeezed out of some snaps, but in all, for right now, he's looking like a good value. But that could definitely change in a couple weeks.
I didn't.
Barter Mania is saying, what is up? Ooh, Young Money. Those are fighting words.
Okay, so
Kevin White, Brashad Perriman.
He could be. The thing with Quentin Johnson is he definitely has bust potential. He's one of those guys that has the upside but has the downside too, for sure. So I think he's going to need to land in the right spot, and he's going to need to develop his game, definitely. But I still think he's going to go very early in the draft.
Oh yeah,
probably to a wide receiver needy team. So,
I mean, if it's not where a lot of mocks are putting him. But if he goes to a team where he could obviously be not just a starter, but maybe the main target like Baltimore, like how low can you be on him? I mean, yeah, I know you say, well, you could say that with a lot of these receivers. They go to these great situations, but I'm not sure. I mean, what is it that makes him like obvious bust to you? Because I mean, I don't see or hear that he's dropping down all these draft boards anytime soon. So I don't know. I mean, some of these receivers will bust. We know this.
Yes. Most of them will bust, honestly. Yeah, I couldn't. Who took Rashid Shaheed? Where did? Oh, 2 picks. Or at least it wasn't Mr. Miyagi who sniped me this time. I was gonna go Shaheed there, where I took Pierce.
Wow. You know what? Now that I'm actually paying attention again to the queue, I had Rashid, and I was kind of half thinking to take Odell Beckham this draft, and I can't now. So
Wow.
you know what? Not gonna cry over that. Save me some for myself sometimes.
Right.
Not gonna cry. Okay. Let's see. Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry, Terrace Marshall. No.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly.
It is now. Ah. Panic pick. Total panic pick. Yeah, I waited too long on receiver. Oh well. So be it. The sort of short answer to this question, I mean, it depends, obviously, but you don't take an IDP player usually the first couple of rounds because there's not necessarily a huge gap between the top guys and the bottom. I mean, it really depends on the settings, how many IDP you start, and all these things. So scoring, there is no standardized scoring for IDP. Just like with defense, right? That's why we hate team defense, because sometimes it's overcompensated and sometimes you don't even realize how much team defense counts for. But there is no standard. So it really, really depends, which I know is kind of a cop-out. But for me, I've never taken, or I don't think even seen an IDP player go before round 5. So, but it depends.
I've only played an IDP once, so it's just not. I don't know. I just never have. Other than that one dynasty league, and the IDP scoring was so bad, I just was like,
yeah,
I was just hoping to get like 7 or 8 points from my IDP guys. That was it.
Yeah, it didn't count for anything, so you didn't
Yeah,
have to.
I was like, whatever. Just don't give me like 0.
Right. Last pick. I'll just go another mediocre receiver. I like Mims. I think he could be interesting, but of course, depends where he goes. So
I kind of like him. Yep, I like him.
Imani apparently wasn't here in the first round. Yes, Gary Wilson was taken 9th overall. So, and Nate now not here to defend himself. He was on auto.
I mean, that's why I have a running back start, because it's like Eckler at the 12. Like, okay, I'll do it. I don't know how it worked out. I'm gonna need Jalen Hurts, Austin Eckler, and Bijan Robinson to go off this year.
Oh, you are here. Why are you on auto then?
He's too lazy. He just set his cue. He's too lazy to click.
Too lazy to click the button, but not to type. All right.
Yeah.
I do agree with this, though. I mean, look, I'm, and that's why I didn't take him. I was like, look, if he's there in the last or second to last round, sure, I'll take him. But yeah, as soon as he does sign, if he does sign with a team, yeah, I'm probably not taking him, which sounds weird, but I think this might be the best reason I've ever heard. Like I just felt like drafting him today.
There you go.
That's kind of, I mean, that's kind of where I went with the whole CMC thing. Is like, I just feel like taking a running back first. Let's see what happens. All right, Chris. Save yours for last. You're gonna either have a great dynasty team or a really bad redraft team. We'll see.
I'm guessing a really bad redraft team.
All right. Well, this is a redraft draft. Let's start with one. Rise smartly took Justin Jefferson at the 1. Went with Jacobs, Watson, Deontay, Aaron Jones. A lot of NFC North action here. You got Viking, Packer, Lion. Okay. Anyways, then he went with Tua. That's actually pretty early for Tua, isn't it? Round 8. Don't hate it. I mean, I don't think you needed to, but I don't hate it. All right, Jacoby Myers, Zach Evans, Jalen Hyatt, Samaje Perine, Rashee Rice. So rookie heavy at the end, which is fine. Do you think there were some reaches in the middle of this draft?
Yeah, I do. I just don't like. I just don't like those like 4, 5, and 6. I just feel like those picks are too like safe. Not that I'm down on any of those guys individually. I just don't feel like they have the upside I'd be looking for there. Like I would have much preferred to go with a QB over one of those guys like Fields. Go with wide receivers with a little more upside, especially when it's like your wide receiver 3. Give me that upside. So, yeah, I just feel like those 3 picks there got a little too safe.
Yeah, a little bit on that end, but yeah, it felt like a little reachy. I mean, Swift, I wouldn't call that a reach. Tua was a little earlier than needed to be. Pitts, I mean, you do have some good upside. Don't get me wrong with Christian Watson in there, and the rookies you have, and the running backs. I don't think it's a bad team. I guess there's some untapped potential with the picks you had. Could have been a little better, maybe. I don't know. Number 2, Zima. Chase, DK, Brees Hall, Christian Kirk, Justin Fields, Kittle, Jahmyr Gibbs, Khalil Herbert, Kamara, Boyd, Lazard, Shane, your favorite, and Kyler Murray.
I mean, I don't understand the Kyler Murray pick, but whatever, it's your last pick. But I like this team better. Not that I necessarily like all the players they took better, because I certainly don't like Kamara, Boyd, or Lazard, or even a Shane. But at least in the early part of the draft, they went for the upside guys. They got a high upside QB in Fields. They got a high upside tight end in Kittle. They got a high upside rookie running back in Gibbs. From Kamara on, it kind of loses me, but I like the first kind of half-ish of the draft.
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree with that at the end. I don't love, I just finished talking about this earlier. I don't like the whole take Kittle there just because he's there as one of the top tight ends, because not going to do as much for you. Probably would have been better off taking any receiver with upside. Just wait on tight end. But anyways, this seems okay. I don't love Brees Hall as the RB1. That's probably my main issue. But NMB 45, Cup, Devontae, Pollard, McLaurin, Marquise, went Montgomery. I thought about Montgomery, but I went Pierce instead. Oh well. Dak, Connor, Freiermuth, KJ Osborne. Took your guy. It's like you almost purposely didn't take him, and you took Kundry Miller instead. And then Hodgins and Daniel Jones, even though you already had Dak.
Yeah. Well, I have Kundry Miller ahead of Izzy, but anyways, it's just everybody, people. I think people have Kundry Miller ranked relatively high. Nobody has Izzy ranked high. That's why I talk about him so much. But anyways, I have Miller. Miller is my RB3, I think, at the moment. But anyways, that's getting off topic. Cup, Smith, Pollard, McLaurin, Brown, Monty. See, again, I like this team. There's a lot of upside here. There's some risk. There's some volatility, but I like that. You need that in fantasy football. And then got Muth. That's great. I like what he did. I think this is my favorite team so far out of the first three. I think this is my favorite team.
So far, I will agree. I mean, was right next to me. I was between Olave and Devontae. Fine. Had I gone receiver like Tyreek Hill in round 1, I would have probably got Pollard there on the way back. So I think that's a good pick. Solid picks there. I mean, yeah, I think really solid team. But you say that because we haven't got to team 4 yet. Nathan going for the brownie points. Likes team 4 a lot and team 8. We'll get to team 8 later, but let's focus on team 4. Chris, what do you think of team 4?
CMC, Olave, Cooper, London, Herbert, Pierce, Goddard, James Cook, Brian Robinson, Josh Palmer, Boutte, Slayton.
Just ignore the last 4 picks. Just ignore those.
I definitely like this team. I mean, only like a couple picks that I'm really kind of like, but this is a good team. Plenty of upside at wide receiver. I probably would have liked to seen you get your 4th wide receiver before Josh Palmer.
Yeah.
But maybe you won't need your 4th wide receiver. I'm trying to. Yeah, I probably have you over team 3. I just would have liked to maybe seen, one more. Because like Palmer, Boutte, Slayton, Mims, I don't know how I feel about any of those guys as your. You know what I mean? Like they're all like kind of like they're okay, but I don't know if they have like, big time upside.
No, I don't know why I waited so long on my 4th receiver either. I don't know. I'm gonna go with an 8 excuse. Like I just felt like it today. This is how I roll. All right.
I mean, we haven't got my team yet, so
we're saving that for last. That's the best. All right. Stinger went with JT, the Sun God, Debo. Although actually, the Taylor pick was an auto pick, but it still counts. So you're stuck with it. You got JT, Sun God, Debo, Keenan, Akers, Godwin, Zay Flowers, of course, Evan Ingram, AJ Dillon, Deshaun Watson, Nico, Tyjae Spears, and Gallup. This is a surprisingly veteran team for Stinger.
Yeah, this is the opposite of my team, but I do like it. I mean, I like it, but I feel like the wide receivers don't like St. Brown. He's good. Debo is good. Keenan is good, but they're not like those. They don't have those weak. I mean, maybe Debo has like 1 or 2 weak breakers in him, but probably not anymore. Honestly, looking at the numbers, I don't think he does. I don't know. I feel I would like some more upside guys in there, like some like. I know he doesn't like Devonta Smith, so that's fine. But like, give me Olave, or give me Mike Williams, give me Hopkins, give me Ridley. Give me guys that can like carry my team on certain weeks. I feel like these guys all have like good floors, but not necessarily huge ceilings. So it's not a bad team. I mean, it's not a bad team by any stretch. I just feel like it's one of those teams that's going to be like a good team, but not like really like a team that when you play them, you're not going to be like, oh man, this team might go off for like a zillion points and just crush me. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like kind of like a solid number 4 seed in the playoffs, where it's like you'll get there, but not necessarily go all the way. Like, would you have liked it better if it was like a Drake London or a Christian Kirk, or even like a JSN instead of Keenan Allen?
Yeah, just give me somebody. I mean, yeah, give me somebody, especially at like wide receiver 3. That's where I really like taking guys, more boom bust type guys. That can go off, like a Christian Watson, even though I don't think Christian Watson was there. Okay, like let's say like a Drake London or even a Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's a great example. We saw it last year. People complaining. Like 2 weeks in a row, they're complaining about him, and then week 3, he scores 28 fantasy points and helps you win. Like, I'd rather have that kind of guy for my wide receiver 3 than a Keenan Allen, who's going to get you he'll get you 15 to 19 PPR points, which is great. That's cool. But, I don't know. I'd like to see some more upside at wide receiver.
Yeah. Also, a little bit of injury risk.
Yeah,
Hard to
especially
predict
for
that.
Keenan at his age.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. I'm actually gonna let you do the next team because my computer's about to die and I forgot my charger. So I'll be back in about 10 seconds.
All right, so we got whoop. Oh, geez. All right, so we got Henke. What's up? Tyreek, Waddle, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, Jackson, Hawkinson, Miles Sanders, Sutton, Juju, Javante, MT, Chark, who I thought about late, and then Cousins. I just don't like that. I'm fine with the first 3 picks. I just don't like that Dalvin Cook pick. Not that I'm like necessarily super down on Dalvin Cook or that I think it's terrible value, but again, I just want more upside in the 4th round. I feel like Dalvin Cook at this point of his career, if he's even still on the Vikings, more like a floor play. I like what you did in the middle there. You took some shots. It's a good team. Again, I just would have liked to seen, if you're gonna go running back, well, I mean, if you're gonna go running back there, I don't really know who you would. I mean, I would go Dobbins over Cook, to be honest. But even still, I would have liked to seen, especially in a 3 wide receiver league, I would have liked to seen a wide receiver there, and then maybe you could get, like I said, like Dobbins on the way back, or even Dameon Pierce or somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like in real life, probably unless something crazy happens, Dalvin Cook will go around here in these drafts. What, 6th, sometimes 7th round we see Dalvin Cook fall. And so that's the thing, is it's always about the value and where you get him. So you didn't need to take him there. I don't mind Hill, Waddle, of course, and JSN. So I think the receivers are fine. But yeah, I'm going to agree. Hawkinson, Cousins as a stack. That's okay. You can live with it, but yeah, you're a little Viking heavy here. So
Yeah.
Michael Thomas empties that pick, just kind of kills it though.
Kills it for you.
Kills it for me. Don't love Javante, so I mean, I would love the first 2 picks and not crazy about the rest. All right. The fantasy sleeper went Diggs, Kenneth Walker, Ramondre Stevenson, Burrow. All right. Burrow, Pickens, J-Mo, Pacheco, Cooks, Waller, Gabe Davis, Madison, Eli Mitchell, Wan'Dale Robinson. So kind of sandwiched in some running backs and a quarterback with those receivers. I mean, to me, this is shooting for upside, right? Pickens and Jameson Williams and Pacheco and all guys that maybe will take a big step forward next year.
Yeah, which again, like when you go with Diggs, Walker, Stevenson, Burrow, that's kind of what you have to do because
right.
You're banking on those guys. Those guys all have a relatively high floor most weeks. So you don't need more floor. You need to start drafting guys who like have that week breaking potential. And so I like what he did there. I like what he did. Yeah, I mean, it's not, I don't know if it's my favorite team necessarily, but I certainly, based on the first 4 picks, I like what he did the rest of the draft. I think that was good what he did.
Yeah, and agree. When you have that solid base and you're playing it, I guess, sort of safe early, do that at receiver. It doesn't hurt to do that at receiver anyways.
Yeah.
Take a guy like Pickens instead of a guy like Judy. You know what I mean? Take a guy like Jameson Williams instead of a guy like Godwin. So I do like the strategy. So I don't personally love Waller, but overall, I think this is a pretty solid team. Like, is it the championship team in this league? I wouldn't say so, but I think it's a playoff team. And then Ale, who, what's the story, by the way? Ale refuses now to put an avatar. It's just black screen. Like,
I don't know.
Is this like some symbolism, or is this just like I removed the picture and I was too lazy to put one up? I don't know.
I don't know. He's in the darkness. Draft him from the darkness.
I guess. All right. CDT, Etienne, DJ Moore, Judy, dogs, going crazy.
All right.
Trevor Lawrence, Mike Evans, Rashad White, who I actually thought Rashad White might fall to me, but he didn't. Jamal Williams, Mostert, Komet, Gainwell Singletary. What do you think of this strategy?
I mean, it's good. He's got Etienne to anchor his team. He's got 5. Well, I should say he's got 4 wide receivers I like. He's got a 5th one I don't like, but this is wide receiver 5, so whatever. I like T-Law. And then I like the running backs. I mean, Rashad White feels very undervalued right now. Jamal Mostert, maybe a little, I shouldn't say maybe, definitely early for me. Gainwell's still a sneaky value if they don't go Bijan in the draft. Singletary also a sneaky value that nobody's really talking about too much. So, and I like Komet. Once again, I like his team.
It gave us a screaming value. At least one viewer seems to think so. Somebody is posting this, and I can't let this comment go.
Okay.
Right.
T-shirt.
Look, I like the strategy of that one running back, but I just personally don't like that it's Etienne. Like if it was Ramondre, if it was Chubb, or it was Pollard, but I don't see Etienne as like RB1 material. But like maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. So in Ale we trust. He probably knows best. And then let's go to Nate, who felt like drafting Garrett Wilson, and he did. Also felt like taking Saquon Barkley, which I think is a good value there. Went Pittman, Josh Allen, Ayuk, Dobbins, Charbonnet, Burks, Gibson, DPJ, Beckham, Rashad Penny, and Chig. A lot of players I like on this team.
Me too. He took DPJ and OBJ back to back. That's kind of cool. Definitely a lot of players I like on this team. Man, I like that he has so much faith in Pittman, and I really hope that the Colts don't mess it up this year. But I don't think I can go Pittman over guys like Hopkins, Mike Williams. You know, guys that we know we don't have to worry. Well, maybe Hopkins you got to worry about. I mean, Mike Williams maybe is a guy. Maybe even Ridley. But whatever. But I like the rest of the picks. Dobbins, Charbonnet, that's great. Yeah. Penny, if he stays healthy, that'll be great value. Chig in the last round, that's good. I know he took Garrett Wilson in the 9, and people were freaking out about that, but I mean, getting Saquon Barkley there is great value. I mean, I got to say, just for me personally, if we swap Pittman with Mike Williams, I think this would be my favorite team. It still might be one of my favorite teams, but if we swap Mike Williams with Pittman, I think this would be my favorite team.
And that's exactly it. That's kind of the pivotal pick here is the Pittman one. Like you can't even judge it, right? Because we have no idea what the Colts are going to do next year. I mean, if they draft like Will Levis or something, like yeah, I'm probably out on Pittman, but who knows? We don't know. For all we know, they could wind up with Lamar Jackson. So, the only when I go through this draft and I think, okay, would I have taken that player at that spot? The only guy I would say no to is Antonio Gibson. Everyone else, I think, is a player I like and I like at that spot.
Yeah, I think there's probably running. I mean, there's definitely running backs. I know he likes Gibson, but yeah, there's definitely running backs I like more than Gibson there. But I mean, yeah, most of these picks I think are really good. Well done. Are your dogs still going crazy? Did Pierre freeze? Okay, I think Pierre might have froze. All right. Okay. We are to Jamarcus Russell. Looks like Pierre froze. A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Najee, Tyler Lockett, Lamar Jackson. That is definitely my favorite start so far. And I don't even like Devontae Adams that much, but getting A.J. Brown, Adams, Hopkins, and Lockett plus Najee Harris plus Lamar Jackson. Then you get Joe Mixon, Bateman, Damian Harris, who I feel like is being slept on. And Njoku, that's great. Shaheed, you snipe me on him. Not a Tucker guy, but whatever. It's late. Tillman's interesting. Oh, we lost Pierre. I think this is my favorite team, honestly. I like that start. It's got a lot of upside. Najee, Mixon, Damian Harris should be good enough at running back. You got Njoku. You got Lamar. That's a good team. I like it. Well done. All right, then Mr. Miyagi, who sniped me a couple times. Sniped me on Kelsey. That's great value on Kelsey. Derrick Henry. Yeah, there's definitely running backs I'm going over Henry there. Big Mike, Mahomes, Mooney in the 5th round is got to be the first time we've seen that. Elijah Moore, you did snipe me on Dotson, but man, it feels really early for Mooney and Moore. Algiers okay there. Sky Moore, it feels really early. Mechie, Fournette. I mean, yeah, this team has like some picks I really like Kelsey, Mike Williams, Mahomes. And then it has some picks like Darnell Mooney and Elijah Moore and Sky Moore that I feel like are just a little reachy. So, yeah, it's okay, but you're going to need some of those reaches to hit. Then we get to my team, my all-rookie squad. So I guess since Pierre's in here, I'll just give you my thoughts on what happened here. So when Eckler fell, I felt like, well, Eckler is too good here to not take. I thought about Adams, but man, I'm not really that high on Adams. I mean, again, we're looking at Jimmy G and maybe Mac Jones or something like that. I'm not loving Adams this year. So I went with Bijan. See if Pierre can actually get on here. And then there really weren't any wide receivers left. So I went with Ridley and I went with Hurts. I feel like Hurts was good value at the turn there, but man, that really killed my team. And then I went Andrews. That probably really crushed my team. But I was just trying to take what I thought was a good value there. And then just a run. Like now I'm just shooting for like pure lottery ticket upside here with Johnston, Tony, Addison, Downs. I do like those guys. I like Kendra Miller. I like Alec Pierce. I like Rashawn. I like Shakir, but a lot of lottery tickets there. This team definition of boom bust. So probably not my best draft. Probably one of my worst drafts, to be honest, but just got caught there by going the 2 running backs heavy and then went with Hurts and Andrews and then tried to play catch up, but couldn't do it. And it looks like Pierre's having trouble connecting, but oh well. I appreciate you trying to make me feel better. I have good value on wide receivers. I mean, we'll see. We'll see after this will be an interesting to come back and look at after the NFL draft to see how many of these wide receivers are even worth drafting anymore. We'll see. But anyways, guys, appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow night. Hopefully Pierre will have his internet fixed. Don't forget flockfantasy.com/endgame. You can get basically it's like your fast pass into these mock drafts. You get in the draft before anybody else. Plus, you get access to Pierre and I. If you play Dynasty, you want that. For best ball for redraft, you're going to have that. Plus, access to all the other guys. Appreciate you guys being in here drafting with us. We'll do it again, like I said, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to say bye for Pierre, bye for myself. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.